Okay, welcome to another lab by yours truly, the Azure guy. All right, so tonight is pretty exciting. We're going to get a little bit away from what we have been doing in the past, but still stay true to the past by creating a VM by using ARM templates. To date, we have created VMs using the portal, using PowerShell, and now ARM templates. ARM templates, I think, are pretty cool. They're another way to automate creating resources in Azure. And in this lab, we're going to focus on automation and we'll deploy Azure VM using ARM template. We'll deploy an ARM template using PowerShell. So we're going to create the ARM template and then use PowerShell to run the ARM template. Future labs, we'll just deploy it using from Visual Studio. If you don't have future labs, will require Visual Studio, and I say require. We'll use Visual Studio. But you could also use the freebie that Microsoft provides called Code. Excuse me. Automation has always been a major focus of Azure. Consider a scenario where a user needs to deploy 50 to 100 VMs. I'm sure nobody's going to deploy this using the GUI. Too time consuming. So, automation. Since this is the first lab using ARM templates for us, we're not going to create the ARM template from scratch. But stay tuned. That's going to definitely occur, if not the next lab using ARM templates, the one after that. But we'll use the Azure portal to create it. Now, one of the great things about using ARM templates is it's going to give us a foundation for labs in the future when we have a more complex. So maybe we have an application gateway leading down to a load balancer, bringing up to some web apps. And we don't want to have that running all the time. And some of those resources, count money on can't turn them off. So an ARM template would be perfect in the future because we'll just be able to run the ARM template an hour before we want to get started and the whole environment will be back. But anyway, back to the present. So this is our first lab. We won't be creating not going to create the ARM template from scratch, but we're going to use Azure portal to create it, and you'll see what I mean by that. Now, in reality, this is not the most useful way. It's not the most useful way because it leaves the code a little bit to be desired. It's not the most efficient way to have the code written. But knowing this can help you create ARM templates from scratch in the future. And what I mean by this, you might not know the exact syntax for a certain part of an ARM template. And you could then use a portal to create the resource, make the modification. You're not sure how the syntax should read, and then look how the portal creates the syntax and just add to your template. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It will in the weeks forthcoming. So in this lab, what are we going to do or learn? We're going to create an ARM template using the portal. Create a overview of what makes up an ARM template, like the components, such as parameters file, the main file of the code, the main variables, resources. You'll see, and they're in the ARM template using PowerShell. Oh, there's a little typo. Temp. There we go. All right. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create the VM. So we've done this many times in the portal, but just in case, we'll click Add and type in maybe Windows server. Why is it so hard to get a Windows Server VM? You think that'd be the easiest thing? Let's say just go here and choose 2006 data center. Create. Notice this is a new thing, but we'll ignore it for now. And we'll put in the ARM template VM. That's just happens with the VM we were in, or the work group we were in. Called ARM. Call it speed ARM template VMs. Is that too many? Yep, too long. Speed ARM VM. And 2016. Let's change the size just because, in case we want to log into it, that size is just so slow. Username, we'll go with speed. Password. And we'll allow port 3389. And nothing we want to change there. Networking, we'll just allow the defaults because, again, we don't really care too much here. We're trying to get to a certain point. Management, let's turn shutdown off. Boot diagnostics off. Advanced. Nothing groovy there. Next, tags. Review and create. And this is where we want to slow down, not hit create. Bad decision. Download a template for automation. And here you go. If you've never seen an ARM template before, it's written in a thing called JSON. And this is it. You can see it starts with a schema. And look at the date they gave the schema. Based on what schema version you're using here, it's what resources are allowed to be in the schema. And the content version, this is something you can modify yourself. Doesn't really matter what's there. Parameters. Every ARM template is composed of two files. A template file and a parameters file. In the template file, you have parameters, variables, resources, and optional output. So that's what makes up the template file. These three things here. And looking at this, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not too hard to understand, I don't think. No, obviously, some of these things should be obvious to you. That these are the questions that you're normally asked when you create a VM. So network interface, subnet name, virtual network name, address, variables, network security group ID, VNet ID. So here you go. Now you might understand what's happening here, and that's okay. We'll cover all that in future labs. But you can see, well, yes, VNet ID. Well, somehow it's going to create the VNet for us, and here's it's going to create the subnet for us. And here's my resources. So it's going to create the network interface. Coming down here, we got the properties of the network interface. Virtual network name. So, of course, network name, you got your subnets. And, of course, you got to have the VM, right? And it's a type. Look at the type. Every resource has a type. Has an OS. Let's look at the parameters file. This is where the answers to these questions or parameters are. And there you go. You notice it follows very much the same order, schema, content. Here's answers we provided when we filled out the GUI portal. You can see we got our name, accelerated networking is on. Here's a new network group, and here's the values for the network group. 300. If I wanted to add 80 now, I can just type 8. Oh, you can't edit in this mode. But we're in a true editor. I can just type 80 there. Easy to modify. Subnet names defaults, and there we go. So, if you have Visual Studio installed, I'm going to copy this to Visual Studio. If you don't have code, you don't worry about this lab. We're just going to put it in Notepad. All we have to do, the goal here is just got to take this file and save it as a file name. You do that in Notepad if you want. I'm going to copy this file. Can I do a Control A in here? Let's see. I can. Then I'll do a Control C. Go to Visual Studio. In Visual Studio, you highlight and you choose Add, New Item, Deploy Template, and let's call this VM Template Portal. That looks good. Add. And, oh, we didn't want to do Control All. My bad, my bad, my bad. You could do Control All where you are, but I don't want to lose my schema here. So I'm going to clear everything but the schema. So I'm going to come back to here, and I'm just going to highlight all this. Now Control C. Control V, and there we go. And why do we have an error? Mixing required property resources. Did I not get everything? When all else fails, undo, undo. Let's go back. What did I not get? Ah, look what I did. Copied the wrong file. Copied the parameters file. That'll do it. Control C. Control V. And there we go. No errors. Oh. Oh, look at that. Create I don't know what I did. VM template portal. VM template portal. Now I'm not sure why that error is occurring. Very interesting. But we're going to ignore it for now. See what happens. I don't completely understand. Says you want to match requirement more than one found. Items from the following: string, security string. Oh, I think I know what that problem is. That'll be parameters. That looks right. Doesn't like that. All right, let's keep going. And come here. Now we need to build or add our template file. New item. Parameters. VM. Template. TMPLATE. Portal. There we go. Add that one. And let's go back to the portal. Parameters. Grab this. Control C. Come back here. Oh, I think I know what I did wrong.